The day I miscarried and hemorrhaged, my parents rushed to the hospital through heavy rain and got into a car accident on the way. I lay on the operating table and signed their surgery consent forms with blood-stained hands. I couldn't save the baby. I couldn't save my parents either. The man whose calls I couldn't get through posted a celebratory Instagram post. Congratulations to Mia's dog for working hard all night and finally becoming a mother. I weakly liked the post and he immediately sent me a text message. Unlike it, I sent him my hospital location. Come to the hospital. I need to talk to you in person. I have something important to do. I can't make it. Get your parents to go with you for the prenatal checkup. They're free anyway. Your so-called important matter is delivering puppies for her dog? How did you turn into such a jealous woman just from being pregnant? You're even jealous of a dog. I had no strength left to argue with him. Since he wouldn't come, he could talk to my lawyer instead. By the time I finished handling my parents' funeral arrangements, it was already the next evening. I dragged my exhausted body through the door. The carefully tidied house had become a complete mess. Jason was rummaging through things with his head down, carelessly tossing items onto the floor. Like he was used to it, confident that someone would always clean up after him. Hearing the door, he didn't even look up, his tone tinged with dissatisfaction. Where have you been all day on the weekend? I even had to order takeout for lunch. I froze, so he didn't come home last night either. These past 2 years, he'd always been like this. When Mia's apartment light broke, he could get up in the middle of the night to fix it for her. But he'd forget to lock our door properly, letting a drunk stranger stumble in and giving me nightmares for an entire month. When Mia's dog was about to give birth, he could refuse to accompany me to my prenatal checkup. But he'd take a week off work to stay with her, even though that was supposed to be the vet's job. Getting no response, Jason finally looked at me, surprise flooding his eyes. Your face is so pale. Is the baby giving you trouble again? I stepped back, avoiding his hand reaching toward my abdomen, my tone flat. I called you 76 times yesterday. Why didn't you answer? Jason's hand hung in midair. He frowned at my words. Hermione, are you interrogating me? Mia and I are childhood friends. Her dog Snowball is different from the other pets in her shop. She's raised it since it was small. They have a deep bond. Snowball was giving birth, and Mia was worried sick. I had to help with the delivery. At such a critical moment of life and death, how could I have time to answer your pointless calls? It's just a prenatal checkup. Plenty of pregnant women go by themselves. At worst, you had your parents. They're free anyway. What difference does it make if I'm not there? Looking at his self-righteous expression, I really wanted to ask, what about my parents? That car accident was terrible. Dad had no vital signs by the time he reached the hospital. Mom was rushed into surgery for emergency treatment, but her injuries were severe and complex. Jason's colleague said that only if Jason performed the surgery himself would there be any chance of saving her. He said he was too busy to answer my calls, yet when I liked that Instagram post, he immediately ordered me to unlike it. Afraid Mia might read too much into it. Are you really just childhood friends? But Jason, I saw you kiss her. At the very restaurant where he proposed to me, even sitting in the exact same seats. In my mental haze, I didn't see the motorcycle speeding toward me. Although the driver braked in time, the tiny life inside me that was barely 3 months old was still lost. Panic flashed through Jason's usually calm eyes. Mia was too worried about Snowball, so I took her out to relax. She had a few too many drinks and... His tone softened slightly. All right, let's not talk about this. Next checkup, I'll definitely go with you. Here we go again. Using a lame excuse to brush me off, then offering a consolation prize, as if nothing had happened. But Jason, you'll never need to accompany me to another prenatal checkup. No need. Let's get divorced. Jason froze, then spoke angrily, humiliated. Hermione, do all you journalists like to blow things out of proportion? I told you it was an accident. Is this really necessary? Besides, you're just doing odd jobs in the TV station's logistics department now. You're almost 30, pregnant, and other than me, who else would want you? I work myself to the bone at the hospital every day for this family, not to come home to your unreasonable tantrums. He stormed toward the door. As he passed the entrance, he suddenly noticed a document peeking out of my bag. The words death certificate were clearly visible. Jason turned back, confused. Who died? Jason was about to pull it out for a closer look. But his phone suddenly rang. Mia's helpless. Choked voice came through. Jason, one of the puppies seems to be choking on milk, and I still have customers in the shop. I'm completely overwhelmed. It's not going to die, is it? I'm so scared. Jason's face filled with concern. Don't cry. I'll be right there. With that, he rushed off without looking back. He even forgot to lock his study, which he normally never let me enter. As if possessed, I walked in, only to be stabbed in the eyes by what was under the desk. That year, I was the station's most promising new reporter, assigned to interview the old director. But the old man was arrogant and turned me away. After several days of working overtime, I had low blood sugar and fainted in the garden. Jason was the one who saved me. He said the old director was stubborn and wouldn't change his mind once it was made up. I hung my head in disappointment. The next second, an orange candy was pushed into my mouth. Jason winked at me playfully. But I admire people who work hard, so interview me instead. Later I learned he was the city's youngest medical professor. So many people wanted to interview this genius heartthrob of the medical world but couldn't, yet he made an exception for me alone. That's how Jason and I became connected. Later, we each got busier and busier. Jason looked at me with difficulty. Hermione, I know becoming a top reporter is your dream. But the elders in our family need someone to care for them. Could you resign? I promise he'll treat you well for the rest of my life. And I knew equally well that becoming an outstanding doctor was his dream too. So I compromised. I didn't resign, but transferred to the relaxed logistics department. At least that way I could stay close to the work I loved. On many sleepless nights, I'd trace my reporter's badge under the lamp. Every time Jason caught me, he'd feel incredibly guilty and promise over and over that he'd treat me well. But now, that reporter's badge I treasured so much was being used by him to level a table egg. I used Mia's birthday to open his safe. On top was a thick craft paper envelope. Inside were all kinds of photos of the two of them together. Hugging, kissing, walking hand in hand on the beach. There were also receipts for him buying Mia a house, funding her business startup, paying for renovations. Even though the shop lost money every month, he kept subsidizing her. The words on the envelope's cover were in Jason's handwriting. Forever willing to forge ahead through thorns for your dreams. I stared at those words for a very long time. My mind flashed through these 5 years of caring for his parents, doing laundry and cooking, cleaning the house. I thought of the envy and heartache I felt watching my former colleagues full of passion, working overtime preparing interview manuscripts. Suddenly, I laughed out loud. So he didn't know how to protect someone's dreams after all. I photographed everything and put it back in place, finally making my decision. Hello, Miss Kelly. I heard the station is selecting someone to go to Central Asia as a war correspondent, and no one has signed up yet. If you don't mind, I'd like to go. Kelly paused, then said happily, Great. I thought it was such a shame when you applied to transfer to logistics. This is a rare opportunity. It might be a bit dangerous, but your resume will be completely different when you return. Prepare yourself well then. You'll be leaving in the next few days. Hanging up the phone, I started packing. There was nothing left in this house that I cared about. Except for the sweater Mom had knitted for me before she died. I had to take that. She'd knitted me plenty of clothes when I was young, but later I grew up and Mom grew old, her eyesight not what it used to be. I didn't want her to strain herself, so I told her not to knit anymore. After I got pregnant, I suddenly became very sensitive to cold. Mom secretly knitted me a sweater anyway. Her eyes were red from straining them, but she waved it off casually. Homemade ones are warmer. I picked out good yarn. You care about the child in your belly, and I care about my child too. I was both touched and heartbroken. I never brought myself to wear it. But now that sweater was gone. Remembering the scene when I came home, I was about to call Jason to ask. But then I saw Mia had posted on Instagram. Hee. I just mentioned the babies were cold since they were just born, and someone brought over sweaters thanks on behalf of the babies. Daddy, of course, this mommy's alteration skills aren't bad either, if I do say so myself. So Jason had gone to celebrate those puppies' birth with her. In the picture, they had their heads together, bodies pressed close. Each held 3 puppies in their arms. And I recognized at a glance. The dog clothes those puppies wore were altered from the sweater Mom had knitted for me. When I pushed open the pet shop's glass door, I happened to catch Jason and Mia eating cake with the same spoon. Jason had severe germophobia. At home, his dishes had to be disinfected and stored separately, and serving utensils had to be used when sharing food. Once, after cleaning the house all day, I was exhausted and parched, so I drank from his cup. He didn't say anything at the time, but that night, the cup appeared in the trash. Afterward, Jason explained to me that it was an occupational habit from working at the hospital. Turns out it depends on the person. Seeing me, Mia raised an eyebrow and smiled sarcastically. Hermione's here? Jason and I have never drawn boundaries since childhood. I hope you don't mind. Jason, what did I tell you? There's no way she'd divorce you. After all, a woman who failed in her career and can only rely on handouts from her husband. Without you, how would she support her child and take care of her parents? She followed you all the way here, but she's really clingy. Sigh, compared to her, I'm just too thin-skinned. Guess I'll just have to keep being a strong, independent woman. Jason affectionately pinched her nose. Fine, you're the smartest, okay? You've been clever since childhood. Then he looked at me, as if forgiving a child who didn't know any better. All right, Hermione. Since you came to make peace, I'll pretend I never heard about the divorce. Go home and clean up the house first. These puppies were just born, and their condition is unstable. I need to stay with Mia for a few more days to observe them. Listening to these 2 people talk, I found it laughable. One being a mistress so righteously. One whitewashing his affair so sanctimoniously. I ignored Jason and smiled sarcastically. Since Miss Mia is so capable, stealing another woman's man is one thing, but why did you conspire with my husband to steal my clothes? Dare I ask what kind of strong woman you are? The mistress kind. Several female customers who were selecting pet supplies looked at Mia in surprise. So, this handsome guy isn't your boyfriend? But you are using the same spoon. That's not very appropriate, is it? Yeah, I just complimented you too on being a good match, and you didn't deny it. Turns out he has a wife. Mia's face flushed red as she was cornered. Seeing her like this, the women curled their lips in disdain, put down the items they'd already selected, and hurried out. Mia's eyes reddened as she complained to Jason pitifully. Jason, is Hermione deliberately here to sabotage my business? I just thought that sweater was warm and soft, perfect for the puppies. She's already spent so much of your money. What clothes doesn't she have? Why does she have to slander me like this? Those were all my regular customers. How will they see me now? Can I even keep doing business? Jason tenderly wiped her tears, then turned to glare at me angrily. Hermione, I'm the one who took the clothes. Why are you taking it out on Mia? It's not like it's worth that much money. When did you become so petty? You'll gain weight later in your pregnancy anyway, and won't be able to wear it. Just have your mom knit you another one. It's not like it's made by some international master craftsman. Why are you treating it like it's so precious? Looking at his condescending expression and the disdain in his eyes, I couldn't help but slap him across the face, roaring. Yes, what my mother made is precious. because she can never knit me clothes again. While you two were being all lovey-dovey, and you'd rather accompany her dog through labor than answer my calls for help, my parents died. Jason's eyes flew wide open. He instinctively released Mia. What did you say? How could? Before he could finish, Mia suddenly shoved me hard. How dare you hit someone? It's just a crappy sweater. Who cares? I'll give it back to you. She stripped the clothes off the puppies and viciously threw them into a litter box the employee was about to take out. Saying your parents died, I just saw your uncle and aunt at the supermarket this morning. I just can't stand women like you who use pregnancy to lie and manipulate, making scenes and doing everything possible to control your husband. You're a parasite, a disgrace to women everywhere. The litter box hadn't been cleaned yet. The clumped feces stuck to the sweater, giving off a foul smell. Mom's love had ultimately been ruined beyond recognition. I didn't mean to, I didn't know the boss would. The employee was frightened by my bloodshot eyes, looking completely helpless. Anger and hatred burned my internal organs. I turned toward the instigator and raised my hand high. But before my palm could land on Mia's face, Jason's slap struck me. It made a crisp sound in the quiet shop.